Alright, I remember in my first week of nursing school, the professor was introducing us to the skills we'd have to have as a nurse. And so we started with learning how to do vital signs and infection prevention by wearing masks, gloves, gown, blah blah blah. And I remember sitting there staring at the other seven students who looked completely chill and thinking to myself, what have I done? I've made a grave mistake. I need to quit like right now, yesterday. Okay, before I dive into the backstory, I just want to point out the new format I'm trying out. Last video, I mentioned that drawing pictures relevant to whatever I'm talking about takes too much time, so now I'm just gonna show a recording of what I drew while talking over it. It starts off as a rectangle, but after 12 hours, it turns into, well, something good enough. Okay, so backstory. You know how in your last year of high school, you're supposed to figure out what to do for the rest of your life, even though you barely know what the adult life is like yet? So I was pretty lost in life back then. I know nothing has changed since then. I literally signed up for a bunch of advanced classes just to see if I liked it or not, even though doing that low key made me actually stressed and depressed, and it didn't even work. My top choice was art, but everyone says that's a lot of money invested with barely any return. So my second choice was software engineering. But people tell me you always have to learn, and since I made the terrible decision of taking too many hard classes in school, I hated learning. I never wanted to learn again. That was it. I just wanted to do college and that's it. Nothing else. So no, I decided F that. Third choice was becoming a dentist, but then my aunt said that people's breaths stink. So I rejected that too. After many days of thinking and napping and not doing as much research as I should have, I figured I should choose something biology related, because that's the only subject that did not burn me out, solely because I wasn't taking any science classes that year. I don't know how I stumbled upon nursing. I guess a family member suggested it or something. But I think I ultimately chose that because no one told me enough about it. I've been blessed to not need to go to a hospital before that point in my life. So I was completely clueless as to what I was getting myself into. Okay, so you're gonna think I'm dumb for not realizing this sooner. And that's okay, because I already know I'm dumb for how much I did not think this through. High school me did not realize that nurses have to take care of people with germs more likely to be contagious. Back then, I could not stand touching other people or their things. I was kind of exaggerating when I said I'm germaphobic. It's just that the thought of touching people or things that look dirty just turns a switch on in my brain to avoid it at all costs. But not really, because if I have to, I have to. I hated handshakes because not only could the other person feel how sweaty my hand was, I just felt like I would never be clean again without a flamethrower. I would always wipe my hand on my pants leg or just go and get some hand sanitizer when I thought the other person wasn't looking. And then when it came to getting other people's stuff, like their jacket, phone, or the usual pencil that fell on the floor, I would only use two fingers to pinch at the end of the object and then give it to whoever owned it, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Um, I also just could not stand using the public bathrooms, so I would literally hold my bladder through the whole school day, more than 8 hours straight, just to not have to use the dumb public bathroom. So, fast forward to my first week of nursing school when they say we have to use our hands to wrap a blood pressure cuff around a random person's arm. Yeah, I contemplated the universe so hard. I wanted to quit so badly. Now, the only reason I didn't quit was because of my dumb pride. I did not want to hear my family say, I told you so. Even though clearly they didn't, or I would have reevaluated my whole life right then and there back then. If you just said I'd be scooping up poop earlier instead of now every day just to make fun of me, then maybe, just maybe, something would have clicked in my young, dumb, idiot brain. So I did something any other self respecting, shame evading person would do: gaslight myself into believing that this was the right decision. Oh, taking anatomy classes will help me get better at drawing people. Oh, I'm gonna focus on psychiatric nursing because learning more about people's minds and behaviors will help me write characters. Oh, I'd rather have a job that forces me to be active instead of sitting in front of a screen the whole day. Not like I plan to ever exercise in my free time. Oh, learning how the human body works will help me better understand injuries. So whenever I write action scenes, I can just write injuries with realistic consequences. Oh, if I only work 3 times a week, I can spend the other 4 days working on my own thing. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And so I forced myself to just get used to it. I decided that as long as I keep this mask on and keep cleaning my hands, I'll be okay. Just believe so hard in the antibacterial soap and just remember that this is fine. This is normal. Germs don't discriminate, but so does antibacterial soap and sanitizer. And just like that, obstacle number one was tolerated. Now, obstacle number two, dealing with people. Alright, backstory time. There are two things that made me terrible at conversation. One was that I had trouble talking. I was either awkward or quiet. I remember my family telling me they thought I was mute when I was a kid because I just hated talking that much. I remember in kindergarten, the teacher asked how old I was, and I had to say it in front of the whole class, and I said 4, even though I was actually 5 years old because I thought the teacher thought I was 4 and she just wanted to be right. I barely spoke another word after that in kindergarten. I thought my whole life was ruined. But even if I wanted to, all the kids back then talked so much, it was hard to get a word in anyway. Anyway, me barely talking and messing up my age made the school think English was not my first language. So they put me in a special English class for kids who speak other languages, or at least their household was a different language. Mind you, I only speak English. To this day, that's still the only language I'm proficient in. At least now, I grew out of my disdain for speech and now I'm just fairly awkward. And so the other thing that made me terrible at conversation was that when I did talk, I was rude. I blame this on watching TV because a lot of those shows had characters whose rudeness would be portrayed as comedy by that dumb laugh track, and I thought that was so funny. I didn't know the nuances of people interaction and that thing only works with people who know you're just kidding. I didn't know how to read a room. I was just a freaking teenager who wanted to be mean to be funny, not mean to hurt your feelings. And me being a dumbass probably ended up being really unintentionally mean when I was younger. It was so bad. You know how in like dating sims you have multiple dialogue options, the good, the neutral, and the bad, and depending on what you choose, the character will either like you more or hate your guts. I feel like back then, all my automatic dialogue options in my brain were just straight up bad, and everyone hated me because of it. Not all of them did because I somehow made friends in school, but like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some people who would never want to be friends with me now. Yeah. To anyone who might be that person, I'm so sorry. I was so dumb back then. I still am, but I think I'm better now. I still kind of have this issue. Obviously, I'm more careful with what I say, but I do find myself in the middle of conversations thinking I could either say something really witty or say something really polite. And so sometimes I just end up staring at them, causing this really long, awkward pause, in which case I no longer have the time to be witty anymore. So I go for the default response. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, fast forward to nursing school. I'm still pretty quiet and I keep to myself. Thank goodness, or else I would have too many embarrassing stories to count. I wasn't really interested in making friends. I just wanted to sleep and get good grades like the good couch potato that I was. The school part was fine and it helped build my confidence about being there because at least I wasn't one of the girls flirting with the patients. But when I did an internship at an inpatient psychiatric facility, I was so humbled. A patient gave me feedback that was harsh but true, and it sticks with me to this day. Basically, I had a habit of saying "you people" when I wanted to refer to a group of people in front of me. I preferred saying that because my friends would have some funny reactions. Offended, but not really because they knew I didn't mean it and they could just tease me back. That was just the dynamic there. Now, I was a complete idiot and said that in a psychiatric hospital setting in front of a patient, and I cannot forget how fast she turned from pleasant to dead serious. She said something like, if you actually want to stay in this field, I suggest you don't refer to your patients as you people because you make it sound like we're not people like you. And oh my gosh, I was stunned speechless. I don't even remember if I was able to apologize to her before she got discharged because I thought she'd prefer it if I just never talked to her again. Anyway, that was the day I learned that words can actually hurt people. Like in school, they teach you bullying is hitting people or calling them bad names and whatnot. They don't say anything about how any word can be weaponized depending on how it's used. But maybe that was just common sense and I just lacked all common sense. I will still blame TV because TV made it seem so normal, but yeah, I take responsibility for all of my actions. Regardless, I'm glad that lady told me that. I definitely reevaluated my whole life and became a better person after that. I didn't want to stay the same if it meant accidentally hurting more people. I tried to be more careful with what I said, at least taking a moment to see if the moment and the person is appropriate to tease. I'm not saying that I just started acting like a nice person all the time. I just learned how to better communicate my teasing or jokes. Um, Granted, I still made mistakes. I teased a friend, and the conversation completely derailed from there because she happened to be having a terrible day that day, and yeah, we don't talk anymore. But I'm at least more self aware. I think. I hope. It's fine. At least I'm just talking to a screen right now. I can't hurt a screen's feelings. Fast forward to when I become a psychiatric nurse, and I'm still kind of awkward. But hey, no one said I was rude. I can't say I've mastered teasing without accidentally offending people, but I got a lot of feedback from patients who say I made them laugh and helped them feel better. As for my awkwardness, well, it isn't all the time, but it does slip out. Unexpectedly, though, it has helped me a bit. I always apologize for my awkwardness because I feel like everyone has this vision that nurses just always know the right thing to say. That's why they're the professional. At least that was my vision of them, but that's just not possible for me in all situations. Anyway, somehow that made it easier for some of the patients to talk to me because it made me look more like a real person, but quotation mark on real person, in comparison to the other staff who talk so clinically. So, yeah, win there. I got a win there. Yeah, the moral of the story is that we're all just people trying to heal, trying to help. I'm just gonna say, I knew I made it as a nurse when I talked to a patient who had depression because of self loathing, something I'm very familiar with. But that's a story for another time. Ha ha ha. I don't really remember what I said. It was something along the lines of helping her see a different perspective toward herself and her situation. On the day of her discharge, she told me, I just wanted to say thank you. You helped me find peace with myself. And oh my gosh, that made me so giddy. That hit me straight in the heart. I wanted to crawl into my bed and squeal into my pillow like a teenage girl because man, that was so fulfilling. Literally, I said I could quit nursing now because that's it. I did it. I did good. And for the first time, I understood why other people wanted to become nurses for reasons that weren't the BS gaslighting I did to myself. They do this because it's so gosh darn rewarding to see people get better, especially after arriving at the hospital at their worst. And since I'm in the middle of bragging, I just want to quickly add another cute experience I had. We had a pleasant psychotic patient who was just completely lost in delusion. It's a case where medications are the only thing that's gonna clear her up, so it's mostly just a game of waiting and making sure she doesn't hurt anyone or herself until she gets better. Every so often, I saw her making the other patients uncomfortable, so when I could, I would just take her to the side and ask, can we talk? And I would just listen to her ramble and ramble, whatever was going through her head. Like, that was my ulterior motive, just to keep her from, bothering the patients. On the day she discharges, she's so much clearer, and she apologizes to me if she said anything wrong while she was deep in psychosis. I say it's no problem, I'm just happy that she's feeling better. And she says, all the staff here were great, but you were a real one, the realest one. And I joke saying, you're a real one now too. And she just pauses like she just had an epiphany. She smiles and says, yeah. I'm real now too. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I died inside that day in a good way. I was so happy to hear that. Like, I'm actually having a good impact on people. I can't believe this. At first, I thought this video was gonna be about how I was not cut out for nursing and how I hate it. But, I did have a lot of good moments there, huh? But yeah, that's how an introverted, awkward, semi-gemophobic person grew into someone who could handle nursing. Hopefully, my questionable decisions in life were entertaining to hear about. And for anyone who's also socially inept and has an aversion to touching people, I just want to say it's possible. It'll be extremely painful and uncomfortable, but it's possible. But yeah, don't do this if you know you don't want to. Focus on the things that you're interested in. I won't say I ever regret the path I chose. I think I became a much better person because of it, but it's time for me to focus on my own interests. Despite only working 3 days a week, I did not progress much on my independent projects, and that's what I want to work on now. Like the one on the screen right now. Time for a shameless self promo, even though technically it doesn't really exist right now. So basically, I'm working on a story where the main character is a new grad fresh out of teaching school. The job market sucks so bad, but after a few months, he finally gets a job, but it's located on a prison island. But that's okay because the job has good benefits and good pay. As long as there's good security and non-toxic coworkers, surely he'll be fine. All his students are final bosses, meaning each student has intentionally or accidentally attempted to ruin the world and did enough damage to unbalance the order of the world at least. We have the Demon Lord, an alien, a heretic, a terrorist, the traitor hero, and some random guy. Apparently, some random noble accused him of bullying, and the punishment for that is throwing him down here in this cursed maximum security prison. Well, at least the main character will have someone to lose his sanity with. It's silly and dumb, but believe it or not, it's a story of redemption, healing, and truth. I used to dream of turning this into a webcomic, but since this illustration took me like all eternity to make, I'm side-eyeing the idea. I'll probably make a webcomic of the story's introduction just to see what the webcomic artist writer life looks like. But yeah, the new dream is to turn it into an RPG. Can you still tell that I'm still figuring my life out? Anyway, if you managed to stay on this video this long, then I just want to say thanks for watching and take care. And please, I'm still thinking about this. Can someone tell me if I need a new